So good morning, as always. Thank you so very much, everyone, for your loyalty. Being with us here on Global Morning every other day of the week, including a weekend time. We are more probably saying, especially, you're welcome to the program.
Yes, it's good to be with you this morning. Good morning.
Pleasure is all mine.
Well, it's that time of the day again when we take you through so many topical issues and discussions on Global Morning to get your day started. Once again, it's so good to have you join us today on Global Morning. My name is Ramsey Enoch Agbo.
All right. Again, first things first, we understand the president is back to the country now. Bayo Onanuga, special advisor to President Tinubu on media and strategy, says the president had to cut short his trips. His trip, one of them being that, the economic issues to be attended to. So instead of the extensive or extended period for which he was supposed to be abroad on vacation, the president had to come back home to deal with business. But again, there are people who want to speculate rather that one of the reasons the president would have to come back earlier than had previously been scheduled is that there are a couple of things that will happen in the next couple of days. One cardinal of such events being the reinstatement of Siminalayi Fubara in Rivers State. Now, news is reporting that all is set for the suspended governor to be reinstated, and that's all else equal in about 24 hours should already be on the way by way of formal ceremonies in River State. But it's been 6 months around this mountain, as they say.
Well, I think it's a welcome development for people of River State. You know what it means to get to the poll, vote for someone you believe in, and circumstance getting out of office.
Right.
His restatement should be a thing of joy for the people of River State. The only confusion is whether he's still going to have the loyalty of people at the council, people at the state assembly, and maybe a few other persons at the state civil service.
Right.
But then as the governor, he still has the power, all right, to do certain things within the confine of the law. I think it was the president that declared the state of emergency,
right,
and it should be the president that will lift the state of emergency. So it's in order that he had to return back home, and that's a good precedent. So he's the president. He can decide to say, well, Fubara should wait until I return. You know, he can say so and decide to finish whatever he is doing right there in his vacation. But then I said, okay, let me return back. There are issues to attend to according to Bayo Onanuga, and he's back home. So we are waiting for the restatement. Already a lot of people are eager to see what will happen, how it's going to go, how the celebration is going to go. Is it going to be like a new swearing in? And Ibas on his own part, I think he's getting accolade from some persons. I was reading a write-up by a former presidential aide, I think early hours of this morning, and I saw how there were encomiums to bring peace to River State, which he did, because there was some form of storm in River State before Ibas was appointed as the administrator, and he was able to manage it through for the past 6 years, to the extent that he even he was able to save about 5 billion naira, if I'm not mistaken, from the civil service also for River State. I think it's a plus, but then a stranger is always a stranger. So one day a stranger will always carry his bag and say, all right, I want to bid you goodbye, my time is up, I just gotta go. But I think kudos to Ibas for being able to arrest the situation, and of course the president, Fubara's patience is one other thing again. You know, Fubara was constantly telling the people to calm down, you know youths, there were some level of pocket of I no go agree. But then in his own wisdom, he cautioned everyone to just be calm. And today it's history. We are looking forward to what will happen in the nearest future. In the next 6 months and the next 1 year until his tenure is over, is he going to return as the governor of Rivers State? Some persons may say, well, that's too early to talk about. But then a lot of campaigning going on the ground by political office holders. But then some persons are also speculating that he may decide to cross carpet to the All Progressive Congress. Reason being that majority of his council chairmen are APC. 20 councils being run out of 22 councils by the All Progressive Congress. So that speaks volume. For you to flow, see, there is no beating around the bush. The disparity is always there, you know, and when you're talking to an opposition, there is this reduction in your level of confidence, because you know that to an extent there is a link between them and those at the upper chamber. So you're being careful. So for you to flow and do everything smoothly, maybe he would want to advise himself to do what other governors have been doing, and it is a personal issue, it's a personal decision. He can also decide, may decide to say, okay, I want to stay back in PDP until my tenure is over. Always, but we're just keeping our fingers crossed to see what's going to happen in Rivers State in the coming hours.
All right, well, let's take a break, everyone, at this point. When we return, it will be time to look at the papers for you. Do stay with us.
Well, the papers are always there to bring you to speed with some details as it has to do with informations that are necessary. Now we'll take you to the national dailies, beginning from the Guardian newspaper. Let's see what the major headlines are. Now, directly below the nameplate, I have this one which says PDP throws 2027 presidential ticket open to all regions, contrary to the zoning principle that people are speculating. But then, if not until after the convention and until it is real, just seeing it on the pages of the newspaper is not convincing enough until that time comes. But then, leaving it open, would it solve the problem in the People's Democratic Party, or zoning will be what is going to solve the problem in the People's Democratic Party? Let's keep our fingers crossed and see the aftermath of this whole thing. Food, transport, housing, others remain key inflation drivers. That's on page 4. At Atiku meets U.S. envoy in Abuja, flames tribalism in Nigeria. Details on page 4. Obi decries normalization of violence as Kwara youths make distress call. Obi decries normalization of violence as Kwara youths make distress call. Tinubu returns as Fubara set for restatement. LP seeks emergency rule probe. LP seeks emergency rule probe. International Day. Now let's get to what the International Day is all about. Lagos warns against using ozone depleting gases for refrigerators. Others. Alright. Now crude output improves as Nigeria records first full pipeline availability in 20 years. Let's take the last one, which is the big story right here on page 6. It says, insider threats, low confidence, hobble $14 billion aviation targets. Details you can find on page 6. A lot of drama are going on. Just pick a copy of the Guardian newspaper and go through it for yourself. Well, I don't even know where to get started from. That's the size of the headlines from the Guardian. Let me not talk too much right now. Let's get to the next point of call.
The next point of call we have to turn to, by all means. This time we're moving away from the Guardian newspaper. Let's see what we have from across the dailies this morning. Just to mention quickly that the aviation sector is having its own challenging times as well, but hopefully Nigeria will be able to overcome all of these challenges in a decent time. Alright, next part of call number 1 is the Daily Times newspaper. We'll begin from the headlines above the nameplate for you. First here with a picture of Minister of Finance and the man who knows as the coordinating minister of the economy, Wale Edu. He says $100 billion annual investments needed to revive Nigeria's middle income class. That's the minister himself saying that. Okay, what's more, insecurity threatens Benue role as Nigeria's food basket. That's a report on today's issue of the Daily Times newspaper. DSS lands criminal charges on Sowore ex-Meta over anti-Tinubu posts. Billions invested, but Africa's 5G dream still out of reach. It's not 40 persons abducted in Zamfara Mosque. That's according to police reports, even though yesterday the news had reported 40. A court upholds ICPC's investigative powers in Kano scholarship funds case. Over 5 billion uncollected PVCs worrisome ahead of 2027. That's according to civil society organization. All right, those are your headlines from the Daily Times today. Let's slide over now to the Vanguard newspaper.
Alright, for the Vanguard newspaper this morning, we have these headlines. Private depots deserted as Dangote refinery begins direct fuel supplies. Experts disagree as presidency says inflation will drop to single digits. Bandit commander Ado Alero kills traditional ruler in Safi, Zamfara. NIN SIM linkage reduce fraud, boost national security, according to the president. The federal government drags Sowore Facebook X to court over criminal post against Tinubu, the president. Lagos key to attaining Nigeria's global influence. Sanwo-Olu is the one saying that. Food security. Federal government unveils new agric investment incentives. Details read on page 8. Nigerian profs and gardeners 3-hour pay XOAUVC Abimbola is the one saying that. This sounds, I don't know, should I say pathetic, or I don't know, but actually abroad anyway. Abroad you are being paid per hour. Nigeria's professor earning Gardner's 3-hour pay.
$366. That's what professors in Nigeria on the average are estimated to be earning. If you do the math, what it simply means is that it comes down to essentially around 600,000 naira, around $500,000 naira, which is 500,000 in Nigeria. Maybe that was a lot of money 20 years ago. Maybe it was still fairly substantial 10 years ago, but today is a different ballgame altogether, because for context, I remember Ramsey in 2023, just soon after fuel subsidy was removed, I brought an economist here, one of Nigeria's frontline economists, and what he said there was that going by the realities, economic realities that the country grapples with today, that citizens are facing this moment, if you are earning 500,000, say by at the start of 2023, starting from June of 2023 till now, that money at best is 150,000. We'll say that again. If you were earning 500,000, or as we say here, 500K by the start of 2023, by the time it was June of the same year, 2023, that money had become not 500,000, 150,000, which is less than 1/3 of its area value. And 2 years down the line, the situation has not become any better. So what it simply means is that we can't, as they say, eat our cake and have it. All right, we've got to put our money where our mouth is. This is very important, because for any country that wants to make sense of its own development, that wants to leapfrog development and growth and scale, and move on to be able to fairly compete with other countries. There are key areas that, commonsensically we need to invest in: our time, our money, and energy. And you just mentioned now from these headlines the issue of what Professor said. It is education, it is health, it is infrastructure, and then you start to talk about other things, and then you can talk about election, who goes where, who gets what, how the political parties are running themselves, and things like that. But education is supposed to be the pivot if we want to be serious with our lives as a people.
That's it. Education needs to be pivot. If we have to underline that word, it's a matter of choice now.
Right.
If we have to, do we really want to?
Right.
That's the problem. It's not in voicing it, it's in our action. Our actions are speaking louder than our voice. It's far beyond budgeting, it's far beyond giving instructions. But what is our action saying? And the truth is right before us. So I think a lot needs to be done. But it's unfortunate that attention is so much on 2027.
Right.
We need to go back to the drawing board a little bit and take some things very serious. The major headline, now the big story, is going to be the last that I will take from the Vanguard newspaper, and it says Rivers hopes mixed views as emergency rule ends tomorrow. A few writers to that story. Ibas asks residents to nurture peace already built. Elders sue for unity. Fubara returning as a conquered man. That is coming from COPE, CUPP. Governance may suffer, says Okorie, Abgas founding chairman. PDP warns Fubara against defection, demands probe of interim rule. Tinubu returns from vacation. That's one of the problem again. The first time I said, well, it's all about choice. He may decide to defect, he may decide to stay. Now some people are already speaking to him, but the bottom line is that it is still all about choice. And then the issue of going to probe the 6 months of Ibas, I think To me, that looks like a setback for him. He has lost so much time, looking at his plan and aspiration. Yes, aspiration as a governor that won election democratically. So now, going back to look to say I want to probe, I think I look, for me, it's just me that's saying it looks to me like a waste of time, because much time has been lost already that needs to be recovered. So I think going to do a probe, for me, I don't know, but I'm just saying like taking one step forward and 4 steps backward. All right, that's the size of the headlines from the Vanguard newspaper as we move to the next paper.
All right, let's go take a look at other papers for you now, everyone. Next port of call is the Nation newspaper. We'll begin with the big one here that says Tinubu's reforms revolutionary. That's on the Nation newspaper this morning. Then it has a rider that says ex-Speaker Dogara, president inherited a comatose economy. Let's move it a notch higher. Top right corner, PDP's open tickets in line with Olawepo Washim's position on zoning. Okpebholo unveils roadmap to reform education in Edo. I mean, there's no better time to do that than now. Sanwo-Olu, Lagos critical to Nigeria's world power dream. Right, that goes without saying, but that will leave it with the Nation newspaper this morning. The Punch newspaper appears a bit more loaded, and Ramsey will walk us through all of those headlines.
All right, let's quickly look at the Punch newspaper this morning. It says, Tinubu returns to Abuja after cutting short Paris leave. Nana pushes for tariff hike, airlines kick. Army arrests notorious IPOB commander in Imo State. Oil reforms drive $18.2 billion deals. That's coming from the federal government. And now the big story says federal government unveils agric reforms, moves to create 21 million jobs. Right, job creation, very vital. Some riders to that story. Fresh incentives will boost food production, free Nigerians from seasonal dependency. That's coming from Shetima. AFAN orders endorses measures, seek timely intervention, women farmers tax federal government on loans, and others. Then this one says how Nigeria can attain global power. This is coming from Sanwo-Olu. And of course, federal government predicts fresh flooding in Lagos and 13 other states. 4 hospitalized as fire got to Lagos buildings. Don't derail Awujale selection. Council wants ruling houses. Those are the headlines from the Punch newspaper this morning as we move to the next point of call.
All right, the Tribune is where we move to next. We'll begin with the headlines above the name mast. Okpebholo unveils transformative education reforms in Edo. Customs consults Finance Ministry on alternatives following suspension of 4% import levy. How Buhari's government destroyed economy, Dogara. And then the writer tells us, says ex-president's administration sprinting injection of 22.7 trillion naira destroyed naira value. Upsurge in Lassa fever cases as deaths hit 162 in August. That's according to the Nigerian Center for Disease Control and Prevention. Then we have petrol from Dangote Refinery arrives United States of America for the first time. A bit of health for you here. Cannabis use may quadruple risk of developing diabetes. And what more do we have? There's a picture story here. Shows the governor of Lagos State, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, and the Director General of the Nigerian Institute for International Affairs, Professor Osagai. there. And then here it says CPPE urges policy mix to sustain inflation decline, boost growth. NIPOST intercepts cannabis concealed in Lagos consignment from Thailand. It will appear, I mean, this is going to be a long night, as they say, because every other day it is, if it's not the NDLEA discovering some of these things, it is the customs. And this morning, this is saying that it is actually the Nigerian Postal Service that is making this discovery. Quite a sad situation, but shouldn't stop us from going to the next paper, which is This Day newspaper.
All right, let's get to This Day newspaper right now and see some of the major headlines there. NUPRC reforms in oil gas sector have delivered $18 billion FDPs in 2025. Some writers to that story, and the first writer says, Komolafe, new changes evident in Bonga North, $5 billion FID orders. Lopebiri seeks regional integration to tackle Africa's $120 billion oil import bills. This one says, Dangote Refinery, Vito, Sanoka take first petrol cargo to U.S. Glamco Shell take second. APC to Atiku, instigating anarchy, degrading to your status as ex-vice president. All right, those are the headlines from This Day newspaper this morning.
All right, so then we take it to the next one, which is the Daily Sun newspaper. Incidentally, the Daily Sun newspaper will be our last for this segment. Says IPOB disowns named notorious pro-Biafra commander Gentle the Yahoo. Nigerians won't accept insecurity as destiny will be warns. Rivers, all set for footballers return. Rider says CSOs, NYCN, others march for peace, unity. Going down to, further down to the front page, economy, CBN warns Nigerians. Then we have a writer that tells us, says country still faces economic risks despite cooling inflation. Edo governor unveils education reforms. Those are your headlines from the Daily Sun today. And that's how we call it a wrap on the paper segments. As always, we encourage you to read off these papers for yourself and be sure that you find as much details and context as possible. Remember that Global Television or the team here on Global Money does not in any way contribute to these papers. We just present them to you as published by their respective publishers. When we return, to be time to join Ogochukwu Mabodo on Social Pass.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and internationals.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest.
The president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
Good morning, the Global Morning Crew, and good morning to you, my viewers. I am Ogochukwu Mabuno. It's a good day to look at what's buzzing on the internet. Activist Scott Uguma calls out Lagos state government over bad roads and also ambulance. Scott Uguma has called out the Lagos state government over the rickety government bus used in transporting oxygen to hospitals in the state, as well as the deplorable state of a road leading to a mother and child hospital. Well, let's take a look at this video. Okay, before we get to the video, we're going to be taking some comments and we'll get back to the video again, where the activist was actually complaining about the bad roads. And we're going to be taking these comments from social media as regards this topic. The first one says, Doc Seed. The first one is from Doc Seed, and it says, I love your advocacy, but that can't be the bus that supplies stuff, but not emergency vehicle. I stand to be corrected. And the second person is from Mr. Castle, and it says, the most painfully and funniest part is those government officials visit abroad for medical treatments. Is this the kind of ambulance they see in Western countries? Well, if the video is ready, we're going to be looking at that video, and so we can actually make our own comments as regards this issue on ground. Let's take a look at the video.
Disgusting emergency vehicle that the Lagos state government is using to transport medical oxygen across the government hospitals in Lagos. Take a look at it. If the body of this vehicle, of this emergency vehicle, is looking like this, there is a 100% chance that the engines of this vehicle are also not normal. They are also not good, and there is also another 100% chance that this vehicle can break down in time of emergency. When oxygen is needed in one hospital, this vehicle go to drive and go give the oxygen, and all of a sudden engine go knock, or brake go fail, or something go happen, and somebody will die somewhere because of this kind of vehicle. And as if this is not enough, this now is the popular mother and child hospital, mother and child maternity care that is in Ogombo, where you have Abraham Adesoya. This is the popular mother and child hospital. This is it. Now let me show you the road that leads to this hospital, the access road that leads to this hospital.
Alright, we've both seen that video, and you also heard the threat of people on social media, some persons on social media, and I have with me someone in the studio who will be discussing this together. Good morning, Uyi.
Good morning, Ogochukwu. Quite an interesting situation we're dealing with here. First off, I'd like to say that, like Ramsey and I were talking about a while ago on this program, health is, they need to invest in health on whatever level, primary, secondary, tertiary, is non-negotiable. For a state like Lagos that is essentially cosmopolitan, the fifth largest economy in Africa, what else? Nigeria's commercial nerve, as we call it. It's only normal, ideally, that people should take for granted things around health, including infrastructure, built around how to attend to emergencies, deliver health essentials or supplies like blood, whatever it is. But this video again is a highlight of one of those broken links. in our healthcare system. Yes, there are those who are going to come lambast this person for dragging Lagos State or Lagos State government or even the governor. Why are you painting Nigeria in bad lights? Of course, we're going to hear all of that, even though for some people it's going to come from a place of hypocrisy. But the fact of the matter is, are we not supposed to see the lesson in it? The lesson being that we're supposed to rethink how we address issues concerning health. But let's be clear again, I mean, for the purpose of being fair and balanced, Lagos State government has done a lot in terms of bringing reforms
Very true.
Into the healthcare sector. For example, there's a special report we're coming up with this weekend that also focuses on some of these issues in Lagos State around health. The idea of having a floating ambulance, in Lagos waters and things like that. But for this kind of video that you just showed us, Ogochukwu, it's not only an eyesore, it's not only embarrassing, but it's also a kind of nudging for Lagos State government and by extension the Nigerian government, which is the federal government, to say, look, we have to go back to the drawing board, take a second look at how we are addressing healthcare issues. And as people always say, maybe because the political class hardly use these facilities, so it's difficult for them to understand, for them to relate, for them to connect with, the realities that the everyday Nigerian is dealing with.
I'm glad when you said, when you acknowledged, the Lagos State government for also doing other things right. Yes, I must tell you that they are doing other things right. There are things that are put in place to make sure that things like this, facilities like this, they take care of them. But people will always bring out that one thing you did not do well, that one thing you did not do right. Okay, it's not just the rickety bus for me conveying oxygen. Like I will always say, I say that bus actually needs oxygen itself. So not just that bus, it's the road. The road that leads to the hospital, the Mother and Child Hospital, according to the activist, and he actually brought up evidences showing that the road is actually very, very bad. You can imagine conveying oxygen with that bad road. Imagine if it's an emergency and we have that kind of road leading to a major hospital for mother and child. Honestly, let's even leave the bus aside. Then what if you are coming with your own private vehicle? When you watch that video, you could see all the vehicles, they are very, very slow trying to navigate the road because it's really, really bad. I think this is where the Lagos State government is going to come in. Make sure that the roads leading to these hospitals are good enough so that in case of emergencies, you never can tell. You cannot be rushing someone to the hospital with that kind of road. The person might have die on the way before you get into the hospital. And this to every other state government, because this is just Lagos State that this person is pointing out. There are other things like this in different states. Some states are even worse than this, and they really need to take the health sector really more seriously than they think. The health, education, these are one of the major sectors that play a vital role in the country, and it should be taken seriously, not just for granted. I understand that they are children, and and maybe them themselves also patronize Western countries, for education and hospital and all of that. But for us here, the people you are ruling, you are leaders over these people. Then please make it very comfortable for them, so that we don't keep hearing the Japa syndrome. Don't you think so, Uye?
Of course, I still agree with you on this one, Ogochukwu.
Anyway, thank you so much, Uye, for your contribution to this topic today. And that's all we have for you today on Social Buzz on Global Morning. To stay with us as Global Morning continues.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and internationals.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest.
And the president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
Of course, there are so many issues to discuss. As a matter of fact, governance in Nigeria.
Yes.
Some people said it's a big book that you cannot finish studying for a very long time. And of course, voters registration is something that happens when it's time for electioneering, and of course, participation. The people who get this voter's card, how many of them really participate in the election? How many of their votes count like it's been believed by some Nigerians? Today, we have a topic before us, and that is Nigerians' governance. And we want to look at driving participatory democracy through voters' registration. And of course, my guest is in the studio as we go talk about this very interesting topic. He is a former presidential aide, a human rights activist, and of course, he's also an author. He's a legal practitioner. So he has actually been in the system, and of course, we want to talk about this very vital issue today. My guest today is Honorable Okoye Obolo Obla. It's good to have you join us on the program this morning.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
Thank you for joining us. Well, we're looking at participation in governance in Nigeria. What is your assessment of participation in governance in Nigeria? That is, I'm talking about the voters now, their participation in choosing who govern them. What's your assessment, your general assessment of Nigerians?
Well, from experience, it's very poor. And also somebody who has been around. At least I was already a lawyer before the military left the barracks, and then went back to the barracks in 1999. We had a return to democratic civil rule in the country. So I saw the elections in 1999. I saw the elections in 2003. I saw the elections in 2007. I saw elections 2011, 2015, 2019, 2023. So 25 years. I would say that participatory democracy is still very poor in Nigeria. Is still very embryonic, or is very rudimentary, because the awareness is not there amongst the population, people who are supposed to vote and who are supposed to know that if a government doesn't do well, then you have to monitor that government at the end of the 4 years of the tenure of that government, and you use their card to give a red a red card. You bring out the red card against that government by not voting that government, or anybody who is representing you, whether in the Senate, whether in the House of Representatives, whether in the House of Assembly, or whether as a councillor or local government chairman. So my verdict is that it's still very appalling, and that a lot of Nigerians are not aware, they don't have the consciousness, and I don't think even the political parties are doing enough to educate the people, because some of them, the political parties, when they are not engaging in electioneering campaign, they just go to sleep. It's supposed to be, they should be in the forefront of continuously educating the people, the voters, to be aware. So let's look at those who were not qualified to vote in 2023. Maybe they were trained, they were 16, 17 years, 15 years in 2023, and they were not eligible. But now they are eligible in the next election. What effort are we making to ensure that everybody
who is eligible now to vote will, participate in the ongoing exercise, to have a card so that he will be eligible to vote in 2027.
All right, talking about red card, that caught my attention, because I'm a sport lover. Now, talking about giving these people red card if they are not performing. They said democracy is government of the people, for the people, and by the people. But as it is right now, the process of checking these people out of office is so long. Don't you think that will be discouraging? Part of the reason why some people just go abandon their cards without participating in elections anymore. What do you think about that?
Well, I don't see there is no shortcut that, taking into account the kind of democracy we have, or we are practicing in this country, the system of government. What system of government are we practicing? We are practicing the presidential system of government. The presidential system of government does not give room for you to get up to say that this government is no longer popular, or we don't want this government again. And even if that is the case, it will be the parliament. You go to the parliament, maybe the parliamentarians will pass a vote of no confidence in the government, and the government has to leave, has to resign. That will be a deal in a parliamentary system. We are not running a parliamentary system. We have a parliamentary system from 1954 to 1966, when the military toppled the government, and when the military wanted to return back to the barracks in 1979, they adopted a presidential system, abandoned the parliamentary system. So in the presidential system, you have to wait for 4 years, except you are going to use, like for those who are in the legislators, the Senate, the House of Reps, the House of Assembly, or councillors. You can recall them.
But the process
is very cumbersome. The process is very cumbersome. So if you cannot use the recall process, you cannot remove them. You have to make do with them until the next election. For the president, governors, you can only remove them maybe through the process of impeachment, and it's also very hard. It's very difficult to impeach. So that is it. We have seen impeachment at the gubernatorial level, governorship level. From 1999 to present, we have seen a lot of impeachment of governors. So, for the president, Obasanjo, was threatened, with an impeachment. But at the end of the day, the process didn't go through the constitutional rounds. It was aborted. So that is it.
Thank God you're a legal practitioner, as a matter of fact. Now, the issue of voters registration, it happens, there is a timeline for it. Some persons are saying, why give us a timeline? Because some persons, like you said when you got started, some persons already hit the age and they've been waiting. Would they have to wait until INEC will say, okay, registration starts on the 25th of August and it will end at this time, it will start at so time and end at this time? Some persons are saying, why not make it open so that anyone can just go online or walk to a designated point and just do the registration and have the cards?
Well, I don't think that would be ideal. The commission, the Independent Electoral Commission, must have a data of voters in every particular electoral ward, in a polling unit, at the local government level, at the state level. So is it possible to just open up the process, so anybody who is eligible to vote can anytime go to online and vote and register to vote? It will be very cumbersome for the the Electoral Commission to plan the elections. The country is a massive country. You are talking of a country with 36 states, federal capital territory, 774 local government areas, 109 senatorial districts, 360 federal constituencies. So it's a massive country, and it's always a big challenge to organize a seamless election, because who are the people conducting the elections? They are human beings. They are Nigerians. They are in a remote, maybe island in Rivers State or Bayelsa State, or a remote place in Borno State, in Adamawa State, in Cross River, and then on that day, the chairman of INEC will not be in that polling unit, but there will be somebody who is recruited by the commission to help the commission conduct the elections. He may make maybe susceptible, vulnerable to make mistakes, or vulnerable to pressure from people, and he will just quickly disregard maybe the regulations that he has been trained, to apply or to implement or to manage. He may disregard it. He may not be able to withstand pressure. So that is it. So election management is a big challenge. So we cannot open the process up to say that any day you can just go to where you are supposed to register and vote. So, but I think if we are patriotic, if we are conscious, if we are really aggrieved with the way the things are going in the country, then everybody should make a conscious effort, if you don't have a card, to make sure that you go and obtain a card, because that is the only way you can remove a bad governor.
But some people believe that their votes don't count. We hear it all the time.
I don't think that is a good attitude. Being cynical, being skeptical. Every human being should always be positive that something good will come out of even the worst process. So saying that my vote will not count, you don't help the system. So alternative, what is the alternative? If you do not vote to remove a bad government, so you shouldn't complain, because the alternative is anarchy. The alternative is nihilism. And we don't want anarchy, just like what happened in Nepal, last week. That kind of situation will not help us. So the only way, peaceful way, conventional way, as human beings, is getting a card and making sure that you vote. Making sure that you vote for integrity. You vote for those whom you think or whom you have confidence that when they get into government, they will not change. They will do the right thing and protect the interests of the people. I think that is a proper course, not saying, my vote will not count. How do you know your vote will not count? I don't subscribe to that.
But the issue of free and fair elections in Nigeria, because we're talking about governance in Nigeria here. Just a few days ago, it was I think the day before yesterday or so, it was International Monday. It was International Democracy Day, and of course, a lot of people were talking about democracy in Nigeria. Let's look at governance in Nigeria so far. What's your assessment of the level of governance? Because one of the major issues that we have is the issue of free and fair elections. When we're drawing close to election year like this, a lot of people begin to draw back. I will tell you for free that some of the people who even go out to do this registration want to get this card so that they can have a means of identification. What do you have as a means of identification? They say, I have a voter's card because of account opening and maybe some form of documentation. What is the issue with our governance in Nigeria as it has to do with the case of free and fair elections? Because this issue of free and fair election has been reported by a lot of observers, civil society organizations, and even foreign observers. We could remember what happened in 2023, even though that is a bygone. Now we're looking at 2027. So what do you think of the issue of not having a free and fair election and the governing process in Nigeria?
Well, there is no country if we have to follow the true expression or meaning of free, fair, or transparent election. There is no country where you can have an absolutely free and fair election. Let me give an example. Since you mentioned foreign observers, what do we have in countries, some of the countries where these foreign observers came from. Let's mention the United States of America. That is the bastion of constitutional democracy. U.S. has run a democracy for over 200 years. From about 1776, when it got its independence, they started practicing democracy. And the kind of democracy they are practicing is similar to our own. The kind of government they are running is a presidential system of government, which we have. Is there free and fair election, as you want us to believe in the U.S.? I do not think so. You remember the 2020 election was very contentious, to the extent that President Donald Trump said he was not going to accept the result of the elections he participated alongside Joe Biden. To the extent that people were organized to storm Congress on the day that the results will be certified in Congress, or collected and certified.
That's United States.
Yes, United States. People went there, talks, went there, stormed Congress. They wanted to stop the process. They wanted to truncate the process. And they were saying that Biden did not win. If that kind of a scenario I've just painted can happen in a country that is supposedly the bastion of democracy, the rule of law, constitutionalism, political consciousness, even you can call it civilization, if that can happen in the US, how do you talk less of a country like Nigeria that is a young democracy, in the sense that democracy is just 25 years in Nigeria. Democracy, I said before, embryonic, is nascent, is evolving. And because democracy is a process, just like humanity, just like society, it will evolve from rudimentary level and then attain the zenith, and then you have maybe a near perfect system. So democracy is still evolving in Nigeria. So we may not have it, completely perfect. Look at what the law says. The law says, if you want to overturn an elections, the onus is on you to overturn an election. If you say elections were not conducted in accordance with the law. But what did the law say? The law says, look, the tribunal, the judge, what the judge should rely on, the parameter, or the barometer he should use to gauge whether the election was free and fair, was this election, did it conform substantially with what the law says? It says strictly. Says substantially. Did it reflect the will of the people? So if the 20 million people voted the population of Kano State is 20 million, and 10 million people vote, or even 5 million, does that reflect the will of the people? And the answer will be the affirmative, yes. Those who vote will reflect the will of the people, even if they are more than the people who did not vote. So what I'm saying, in essence, I am advocating for us to be patient, for us to keep on believing in the system, not being skeptical or cynical that the system will clean up itself and will get to the promised land. And we can also use the instrument of law. The National Assembly is there. Law is an instrument for social engineering. Every society, it is law that you can use to turn that society around. Except you want a revolution. The revolution is dicey, because sometimes the revolutionaries will come into power and will not do the right thing, and they will start fighting amongst themselves. We have seen it in so many countries. So the best way is to use the law, which is a tool, which is an instrument for social engineering, to try to right the wrongs that you see in society. So if the elections are not free and fair, what is the National Assembly doing to ensure that we have a free and fair election? And what pressure are we putting on the members of the House of Assembly? There is no Nigeria who does not have a representative in the National Assembly. You have, I have somebody who's representing.
But when they get there, they become somehow powerful and
no, I don't think so. I don't think so. So I have a senator representing me. I am from Cross River State. My senator representing me is Senator Ethan Jonah Williams. And I have somebody representing me in the House of Reps, Dr. Alex Ebona. And you have Christopher Bedwell.
Yes,
So you have. So all of us should always put pressure on our representatives to ensure that they do whatever we want. Even if they don't succeed, they should make an effort. If they come home, we should confront them. They say, look, we want a free and fair election. What are you going to do to clean up the system so that we have a free and fair election? Have you studied the judgments of the tribunals to see where errors were made by the Electoral Commission and then amend the law to ensure that those errors will not be there in the next election? I think that's the proper thing to do. It is not just by grumbling, and by vote will not count. That will not help the process.
There are handwritings on the wall.
Yes.
Let me bring in the judiciary now, because you are a judicial officer, you are a legal practitioner. A lot of people are losing hope in the judiciary, and it is because of their role in choosing who become leaders right now. I don't know if the word choose.
Well, I don't think we should depend on judges to decide who will be the
that's
president.
What has been happening.
No, it is not.
Cases go to court.
It is not. It is not. If you are not following my argument, you will see where I'm going to. You can't blame that on the judges. I don't even think we should be going to tribunals after elections. If we do the proper thing, we as voters, we as Nigerians, if we do the proper thing, we shouldn't be going to judges to burden them with election cases. And because these election cases, there is no how a judge will decide an election case that people will not disagree with him. Because it's something that has to do with emotion, politics, who get what, when and how the resources of society are distributed. So people in politics, people are always emotional, people are very sentimental. And the law does not give room for emotions and sentiments during deliberations. The judge is enjoined to interpret the law as it is written in the law book. So if the electoral law says the judge should declare a winner of an election where there is evidence that there was substantial compliance with the provisions of the Electoral Act, the judge will follow that enactment. The judge will not go and follow sentiments that is being expressed elsewhere that the election was rigged. Because the judge is not there when the election was conducted, cannot be in all the polling units. The judge will depend on evidence that is brought before him. If the evidence is not well packaged, and presented, the judge will not give you judgment. And if he doesn't give you judgment, you say, oh, I saw people rigging in my polling unit. But our polling unit is just one among several. We have 176,000 polling units in Nigeria. So even to collect electoral malpractices is not easy. For what I have been involved, I was the legal team of the defunct CPC, Congress of Progressive Change, in 2011, in the election between President Jonathan and late President Muhammadu Buhari. We went to court when Jonathan won, and we saw that it was an uphill task to even collate evidence from 176,000 polling units in the country. And it's not just a wishy-washy evidence. You have to collate cogent evidence that will stand the test of time. And most times, people who are polling agents of the political parties in all these polling units, they are not trained, they are not lawyers. They don't know how to collect evidence that will present to court. So that is it. So I was also involved in Adams Oshomole contested elections in 2007, and he went to court. I was in the legal team of INEC, alongside my principal, Kano Agabi, SAN. I was there. I was also the lawyer who did the case against Governor Imoke in 2007 in Cross River State that led to the nullification of his election, and the court ordered a fresh election. So that is it. So it is not easy, and then we shouldn't give that burden to the court, because we may not understand the workings of the court. In court, it is law, it is not sentiments, it is not emotion, and it is also based on good evidence. And then if you don't get it, you begin to blame the judges.
But a lot of Nigerians, a lot of Nigerians,
they are wrong. They don't understand the system.
Oh, okay, but then I've had legal practitioners, okay, on some of my programs who actually voiced out, okay, let's say for instance, the election that was just conducted in Rivers State, the council elections, where APC won 20 out of the 22 councils. I had a legal practitioner on my program who was not satisfied with that, though we've not heard about court cases from there. That's one. Then we've also had cases where it's been believed and even consented to by legal officers that in this dispensation, the judicial system is succumbing to the whims and caprices of the executive. That's one. And all of this put together, there's a way all of this drizzled down to the electorate, and it affects their participation in choosing who their leaders are. So now, what do you have to say about the fact that a lot of Nigerians now don't believe that the judiciary is the last hope of the common man, looking at what is happening with the connection between the judiciary and the executive and everything happening in choosing?
I don't believe that. I agree with this stance. Well, I won a case against a sitting governor in Cross River State. I was the lawyer who brought together all the opposition political parties in Cross River State in 2007 to challenge the election of Senator Moke, who was elected governor on the platform of PDP. And our case was that the elections were not properly conducted in accordance with the Electoral Act that was in force then. And we went to the tribunal, we lost. And then we went to the Court of Appeal. And the judge who presided over that, court, the Court of Appeal, the panel that came from, they were put together by the president of the Court of Appeal from, all parts of the country, who is the current Chief Justice of Nigeria. And she just, when she was reviewing the judgment of the tribunal, she saw that the tribunal was wrong, and then she just opposed that, with my submissions, my written submissions, my written address, and she just lifted a portion of what my submissions and said that this is the tribunal. The tribunal was wrong not to have, followed not to have followed my submission or accepted my submission, and gave judgment and nullified the elections and ordered a fresh election. So is that not the same judges we are condemning? I'm just to a distance that I don't think that judges are the problem. We are the problem. And any lawyer who's come here to begin to castigate a judge for not giving a judgment the way he wants it, I don't think that lawyer is worth the salt.
No, Judge, I think they're referring to the system.
I will not castigate the system. I have told you, a lot of Nigerians do not know the workings of the judiciary. So when judgments are given, they are disappointed and allow their emotions to run riot. But the judges are not emotional. They are trained not to be emotional, because if you are emotional, you are coming into the arena of the conflict. So the judge is supposed to be blind. That is why you see the symbol of justice. The lady is with the blindfolded eyes. You are not supposed to be swayed by sentiments. You are not supposed to be swayed by what happened in the market. But people who are not lawyers or not judges, they can get swayed by emotion. What happened in the market, in the Lugbe market or Gariki market, but not judges.
All right, let's get back to the issue of governance now, because all of these things that we're saying boils down to governance in Nigeria, how the people are being governed, how many people are really having a good taste of the dividends of democracy. And that takes us to the policy of people in governance, beginning from the top down to the bottom. What's your assessment of the policy? What do you think?
My assessment, I'll give a pass mark to civilian government. I have told you, I have witnessed military government. I was born in the mid-1960s, the Civil War, and then the military took over, 1966. They were in office 1979. I was in secondary school that time. And Shagari became president. Governors were elected in the states, and senators and so forth and so on. 4 years down the line, the military came in again. General Muhammadu Buhari, the government was toppled in December 1983. And from 1983, I went to University of Jos, came out, in 1989, went to law school. In 1990, 89, 19, I did NYSC in 1991. I started life, as a young lawyer. And we were under military rule. I can say that the quality of life in the military era, and the civilian era, if you make a comparison, the civilian era is better. I have seen a lot of development. I can even take Calabar, as an example, and my community where I come from. When I am flying to Calabar from Abuja and up the aircraft, and the aircraft is descending, and I see a lot of buildings in Calabar. Calabar has expanded exponentially, from 1999 when the civilians took over, until this 2025. We may not get there to the promised land, but I think that we have made a lot of progress. And every country must pass through a trying period. Even in the U.S., we have not even experienced what happened in the U.S. There was a civil war in the U.S. in the 19th century. After civil war, there were a lot of other issues, racism and so forth and so on, until the Depression, the Great Depression, from the late 1920s to early 1940s. America was in a terrible state. Jobs, thousands lost their jobs. Housing, was homelessness. There was so much poverty in America until Roosevelt came in with a new deal, and he was able to reform America. America became a world power. And what was China? So many other countries have passed through what we are passing through. We will get there. It is, what we need to do is to put more pressure to make governments in our country to be accountable, the senators to be accountable, the members of the House of Reps to be accountable, the local government chairman to be accountable, and a lot of them refuse to be accountable. They refuse to be accountable. No, in the federal level, there's a semblance of accountability. There is so much pressure on the president today, but if you go down to the state level, that pressure is not exerted at governors, and the governors are controlling resources. Okay, they are controlling resources of Nigeria. So the resources are not all at the center; they also at the local government level. But I come from a local government area in Cross River State. How much are they received from the federal government, from the federation account, from January to September 2025? Nobody knows. Nobody knows what they are doing.
And they are segregating the local government autonomy.
Yes, even then, because why is it we don't know what they are doing? Because we don't put pressure on them to tell us what they are doing. If you go to my community, everybody is carefree about the local government. Doesn't care what is happening to the local government level. But the local governments are supposed to play a very important role.
But don't you think that all of that is because they feel the governors are still somehow indirectly in charge of the local government?
Well, if the governors
imagine the issue of local government
are doing that, do you know why everybody now should go and get a card? But any governor who tampers with local government autonomy, let us have people voting against that particular person if he wants to come back to office again. Yes, any governor, we have evidence that the autonomy has been granted by the federal government. We just shake crocodile tears over corruption. Because the political parties, I want to be a senator for my district, in Cross River State, in APC. And people were saying that they didn't have money. They made it a campaign issue. Even people who were close to me, they were going to tell my opponent that I don't have money. That is it. And my opponent was paying 200,000 naira to each delegate that came for that primary election. And they were gladly taking the money. When we expect that those who are complaining bad governance will not collect money. Because if you collect money from somebody who wants your vote, then it is very clear that you want that person tomorrow to, when he is in office, so look for where he's going to get money to replace the money he's giving to you. That money may not come from his pocket, maybe a loan from the bank or from his friends or from somewhere that he should not get money to run elections. He gets that money to pay you, and then you vote for him, and then tomorrow you will say the person is not taking care of you. So our attitude, we have to change. The
behavioral change now.
Yes.
When and how can we attain that? Because it has been a problem. The issue of weaponizing poverty by people in governance to take advantage of the electorate.
Well, because we are greedy. Averagely.
So how can the greed be stopped?
Well, let's go back to how we were in the 70s, in the 80s. My father was just a civil servant. And he was satisfied with what he had, the little salary he was collecting. And he brought us well. He had so many children. He was able to send all of us to secondary school at least. Okay? But now, we have some people or some civil servants who wants to own property in Abuja, in Lagos, in Kaduna, in Kano, in Maiduguri. That can come for your
we can't continue. I wish we have enough time. I wish there is enough time.
So, and then, if you don't make this money, the same people you are talking of. When I was suspended from my work, when I was fighting corruption, I went back to my village. Everybody was laughing at me. My relations, they said, I am a stupid man because I didn't make money to come and give to them. They were not looking at what I was trying to do to help the country.
I think it's an applause. Thank God that we still have people like you who can refuse, to take some money to make things work the negative way.
But sometimes you begin to regret when you see that our people don't even appreciate honesty. They don't appreciate integrity. You don't appreciate industry and hard work.
I think that's as a result of hunger, which is not the right thing to do.
Well, my mother used to tell us, when you are hungry, lie down on your bed. The hunger will go. What is that? We have to be strong. We don't have to say because I'm hungry, you become a non-entity or compromise with everything evil.
Honorable, so many things. It has been the voice of the presidential aide and the human rights activist and legal practitioner and now an author in the person of Honorable Obolo Obla. Thank you so much for joining us on the conversation today. And I think we need to say thank you for keeping it straight, even though what happened actually happened that you didn't stay to the end because you rejected some very negative and compromising positions. So many thanks for joining us. We hope to have you more again on some of our other programs and even on Global Morning. Well, this is the size of the first conversation on Global Morning today. Let's go on a quick break. After this break, we'll return for the second conversation with Uyi Agbomofuegbe. Stay with us.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and international.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest.
And the president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and international.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest.
And the president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
Now time to narrow our conversation down to the sub-national this morning. I mean, let's shift the focus away from the federal government for a second and look at what the subnationals are doing. Virtually, I mean, most of the governors in office today are essentially those who became governors in 2023. So they've already done a little over 2 years in office. But in the case of Edo State, it's a bit peculiar. Of course, Edo State has an off-grid election. which happens usually around September every other year. And that has been the case since after Shomole became governor in 2008. So for a gentleman like Senator Monday Okpebholo, who has only been in office now for essentially about 10 months, it's only natural that all eyes are on him, all eyes are on the state, all eyes are on the quality of governance that he has been providing in the state. Just this morning, I mean, if you look at major newspapers, you realize that there's a big story there talking about the transformational or transformative policies or reforms that the government is introducing into a very critical sector, which is education. Of course, we all know, like Ramsey, my colleague, and I also agreed on the program this morning, that education is supposed to be the fulcrum, that is the pivot of development, especially in this day and age. But there's one, no longer an elephant in the room, but more like a recurring decimal in the narrative of Edo State, the immediate past governor, Godwin Obaseki, who has now become more like the proverbial, as they say, tortoise that never stops featuring in stories. Obaseki was governor for 8 years, obviously, and the man had talked about all of the things he had done for the state, from reforms in the civil service to Edo Best, Edo Jobs, and several other initiatives he had rolled out to be able to drive the state from where he met it by the time he got into office on the 12th of November 2016. But as of today, it will appear the APC is not buying any of that, because we have seen both the governor and those in this government, as well as by extension supporters of the APC and Governor Okpebholo in Edo State and outside of Edo State, continually railing against Obaseki and what ought to ordinarily have been his legacy in that state. This morning I'm joined by a politician, public affairs analyst, and a member of the APC who has never been unequivocal about his support for Governor Monday Okpebholo. Haruna Brahimo, it's a delight to have you on the program today.
And Chief.
Okay. Hi, Chief Haruna Brahimo. Thank you for coming on Global Morning.
Thank you very much.
So I'm going to talk to you about this. Incidentally, this morning when I saw the headline, I have not read the story, quite frankly, about the governor and his new moves regarding education in the state. The first thing that crossed my mind was Edo Best, which the former governor Obaseki had introduced. You have also railed against that here. You talked about the $75 million that Edo State government under former governor Obaseki had secured from the World Bank, and what we have on the ground is far from commensurate with that amount of funding that was secured at that point in time. I mean, politicians have always been essentially the same old kind of guys. What is Governor Okpebholo doing differently in education this time, considering what Obaseki had done?
No, good morning, Uyi, again.
Good morning.
I think the question should be considering what Obaseki has not done. Because we are practically revamping issues from sector to sector, from agri to education to ICT to road infrastructure to power, which is also one of the biggest issues right now, the Osimo and government issues that is going on in Edo State right now. Across all the sector, we are doing the government of Senator Monday Okpebholo is revamping. You know, if there was something to work upon, to add value to, it would have been a different narrative. There was nothing. So what he was promoting as his governance achievement were all fake. They could not hold water when the chips are down. For instance, you talk about the education. The Edo Best program was well applauded in theories. Even some state governors, I remember how the Lagos State governor sent some people to come and understudy the templates, you know. But they forget they should have also sent some people, though they are not in charge to review what he was doing or to appraise him, to also see what has been translated from the templates. Other state government came to take the template to their state, and they worked on it, and it's working in their states. Why we could not take it in Edo State beyond the templates? For example, you collected, the whole program was centered around the World Bank loan of $75 million. Because the World Bank loan was the capital needed to drive the template to reality. and you collected the $75 million and the template could not translate to reality. In areas of, let me itemize them. You talked about educational infrastructure. You talk about writing materials for students, children in school, which includes the iPad, the digital aspect.
Right.
You talk about the training, research, and development. You talked about building and reconstructing schools across, putting them, making the environment conducive for learning. And you talk about recruitment and training of teachers under the Edo Star. It created Edo Star initiative to recruit teachers specifically for the Edo Best program.
Yes.
So all these things I have measured. Today, Governor Monday Okpebholo is practically rearranging everything to the positives. Let's start from the teachers. The Edo Stars program, aspect of the Edo Best larger program, recruited about 5,000 teachers across the 18 local government of the states. And he told us that he has recruited these guys. They were graduates, NCs, HND, BSc. Rather, we never knew he engaged a consultant to put them on a contract. They were never civil servants. And they were being paid 39,000 naira. Edo Best, at the end of the day, you go to each school, you don't have regular teachers, and in each school are no more than 3, which include, at times you go to a particular secondary school or junior secondary school, you find the principal, the VP, and 1 teacher who are regular teachers. What it means is those persons are directly in the payroll of government. Every other teacher in that school, they are on contract, collecting 39,000.
Which means they can be sent off at any time.
They are not entitled to any form of emolument. No pension, no health insurance, no regular insurance of any kind, no gratuity. They are not entitled to anything in this 21st century.
So we can even say the government does not recognize them.
Of course. And you did that for 4 years?
Yes, they are teaching in public schools.
Of course. And you did that for 4 years under a program that is being classed for outside the states as Edo Best program. You know, one of the biggest, they said a non-motivated staff is a risk to the productivity of any organization. Does Edo Best, in its template, did Obaseki recognize the essence of productivity? If he knows the value of productivity, he will not recruit graduates as teachers, make their contract staff and be paying them $39,000, 39,000 naira. So let's go back to infrastructure. You see what Okpebholo is doing. The videos abound. Just let's start from some schools within the city. In your so-called Edo Best, Amide Junior Secondary School and Senior Secondary, you saw the whole place was turned to a refuse dump. Rodents were holding classes instead of human beings. Once our parents had taken their children off the schools, Amide Secondary is in the heart of Benin, Ikpoba local government, Ikpobahi, just by Ramat Park. What of American Junior and Senior Secondary School? In Uselu, that is the heart of Benin. You saw the videos. You saw what, if all these schools were like this, in state of squalor, what of some of the most Eba Grammar School? Phase 1, Phase 2, the 2 schools in Omo there. These are Benin. I'm not even talking of outside Benin. Ibiye Neva Primary School in St. Saviour. Lots and lots of schools. The ones in Ologbo, Obia, these were schools that Okpebholo, in his 100 days, is embarked on constructing, revamping, and remodeling 100 schools. Poor infrastructure. They were in total dilapidation. Now you go back to the research aspect of the program, Edo Best program. The research and development. You consulted it out to consultants, not even the teachers, not even the staff of SUBEB or Ministry of Education. Consultants were developing curriculum for a state they were not from. And they only them have the access password. Everything, according to him, was in digital. And today, as we speak, because even some of the teachers, you made them to You gave them iPads, some of them, that they can be making their write-up.
Electronically.
Yeah, electronically and what have you.
Is there anything wrong with that, really?
No, nobody is talking of some of them, which the ones with some selected schools within Benin, which he was using to show to the world. We're talking of 18 local governments. We're talking of more than 4,800 units of human poly units in Edo State. We're talking of 192 wards. You pick selected few to do propaganda so that the World Bank can give you money. When this money was coming in tranches. When they come to review, you select some teachers, maybe the ones that are directly employed by you. You deceive the other 5,000 that you gave them hope that after 2 years they are going to be absorbed into the system. Until 4 years, until he left power. As you speak today, the curriculum is being reversed to be in agreement with the UBEC standard, the federal government education, because you need to synchronize with the federal education policy.
Right.
And they clearly went to town to be saying Okpebholo is returning it back to analog. He does not want those teachers to be used. No. They are talking of the content. The content are outdated. And those who created the curriculum, the content in the curriculum, they were not from the Ministry of Education. Most of them were the consultant he engaged from outside the state.
We understand that during his days in office as governor, one of the several things that Obaseki had achieved in office as the chief executive of the state was to automate the entire civil service. And that we understand right from day one when Okpebholo assumed office, he reversed all of that as well. Is that not a setback?
No. These are the things we need to clear.
So help us provide that clarification.
Talk about e-governance. E-procurement and e-governance.
Right.
How do you automate a system for civil service? Simple. The database of all the civil servants in Edo State is still very much intact. What Okpebholo is saying that the e-governance is being hosted by a consultant that is collecting 1.5 billion as consultancy fee every year. That is what the governor is saying. That how do you a critical ICT infrastructure of such nature, considering classified information of state governments and state policies, is being hosted by a private person in Lagos.
So what's Okpebholo's concern? Is it the sensitivity of the information of the data or the cost?
Both the sensitivity and the cost. And what the simply did is to reverse that, not reversing the system or the policy that we are returning to analog. No.
So is Edo State civil service automated?
Of course, very much automated.
Now domestically hosted.
Domestically hosted, not be hosted by outsiders. But when these decisions are taken, they go to town to preach something else. You can't be a digitalized criminal and you expect the world to be clapping for you. You are a criminal, whether you are digital or not digital.
But you can't call the former governor a criminal.
I'm not calling the former criminal. I'm trying to tell you.
Nobody has taken him to court on any charge right now.
Excuse me. I've not called him a criminal. I am indirectly telling you that most of his policy direction were criminally designed for selfish interest. I just gave up the
So why has Governor Okpebholo not pressed charges?
These are what we are talking about. The Asset Verification Committee has met and done their report.
Right.
Then the government will take decision at the right
time. So the report is from the governor now?
Of course, it's been submitted. He will take a decision. And I keep telling you on this program, even before the elections, during the election, and after the election, I told you most of these policies and MOU were all shredded in secrecy, obscurity, profligacy, and outright looting of Edo State's money. If you can be using 1.5 billion to be renewing a consultancy arrangement with a private consultant in Lagos to be hosting e-governance for us, ICT software in Edo State, it's funny. That is to say the least.
I want us to talk about this report that you just mentioned, the passing now.
I think we should even be dwelling more because the raging issue now is the Osoma debacle.
I'm going to get to that because you have mentioned that severally on this program.
Yes.
But let's talk about the report now.
When Oshiomhole took over office, I mean, 12th of November 2008, one of the first things he did in the days leading into his leadership, the Osadebe Avenue, was to set up an asset verification committee. So, of course, gentlemen like Hussaini Elama, the likes of Asem Ojeswa, they were all on that panel at the time. And we saw, for example, how a former general manager of Water Board came to that panel, sat in front of those men, and was literally shaking because of the heat of the questioning, the interrogation, the all of the engagements that happened. At the end of the day, this has been some 17 years down the line. That report has, at best, gathered dust at the government house in Benin. So, what's so special about a report like this one?
Excuse me. There's asset verification and recovery. When you recover the asset of government, that was the purpose of setting up the committee, first of all, was to recover what the government of Edo State have lost over time.
This instance one.
Exactly.
Okay.
Even the former one. Every governor that comes wants to know the asset and liabilities on ground.
And they recover.
And they recover whatever they need to recover. That this belongs to the government does not. So Oshiomhole during his time recover lands, recover properties of government that were either taken away. Even you also remember the governor that the ousted governor that was ousted by the court then, Osubo, when it was being carried in the news that he returned some vehicles, the government officials, they have to return the asset and properties of government. If there was no verification, would that have happened? That is one of the basic reasons of setting up those asset verification committee. And in the case of His Excellency Senator Monday Okpebholo, he's done the same thing. And you saw the recovery. The recovery, there was even a committee for recovery. You saw how somebody was selling a car of 300 million, how Obaseki was selling for 750 million to his commissioners. You saw how you saw them now when they were returning those Land Cruisers, Lexus Jeep, 100, 200 something million, 100 something million. The record shows that it was auctioned by the governor for 750,000 naira.
Less than $1 million.
Yes, less than $1 million. A car that is less than 2 years old, brand new. They were selling it to themselves. Were they not recovered by the asset recovery committee? Because the verification is to verify. They made their report submitted, and the recovery committee worked with the verification report to recover some of these assets. What of the Radisson Blue? The asset verification committee discovered that 22 billion, 17 billion in bonds, guaranteed bond of Edo by Edo State government, and the balance of about 4.something billion and more was seen direct payment from Edo State in the name of building Edo Tourism Hotel. After putting such weight of money, he went to sign another MOU with some consortium, Obaseki. Sign another MOU with some consortium who now had the franchise of Radisson Blue Hotel. And the total commitment, both the bond and the financial commitment, had a total of 22.something billion naira. And you now agree with the consortium that you are going to give both the whole investment, everything, both the property and what you have spent on it, to them at 10 billion naira. So Edo State value was now undervalued to 10 billion. Meanwhile, as a governor, an investment banker, a professional financial specialist, you are the one that incurred the investment of 22 billion. You now brought a consortium, you again undervalue your own investment to suit what the consortium can pay of 10 billion. Edo State was shortchanged of 12 billion. And in that regard, Edo State was now only like 5 to 10% stake, because you sell at 10 billion, which he was. So it was the asset verification committee, after some of us also petitioned, that discovered all that now resulted in converting the real value, the real market value, which is the 22 billion, after much analysis and negotiation, that Edo State should hold around 20 or 20% stake, not 5 to 10%.
The last couple of weeks, especially...
And I think I hold you that after the program, I'll give you a soft copy of the asset verification.
That would be great. So,
and then we are talking on, we still talk about the Oshiomhole.
So that it was
still consummated.
So that our viewers can be better guided.
These are what people call legacy. I don't know how we define legacy. Though legacy comes in both positive and negative. Lawrence Anini had legacy in the Bender State, the then Bender State.
But let's talk about the last few weeks, more so the past couple of days. Oshiomhole has been on the news, bigger than ever.
Yes.
One would have thought the Oshomo thing is a blessing as against becoming this chaotic as we have seen it to be in recent times. What exactly is the ownership status of Oshomo? Does Edo State government have a stake, and how much of stake does it have?
These are the questions I'll be providing answers to. But before then, let me tell you something. The bane of our national development today, economically, politically, psychologically, socially, lies in the fact that we are having leaders across the divide, both in the corporate world, the bureaucratic world, which is civil service, and the political class. We are having leaders that lack sincerity of purpose. No matter how good, they said a vision without a defined mission is a tantalizing mirage. It's an illusion. And that is now back to Edo State. Everything we are analyzing here today, whether it's the Edo Best, whether it's this Oshomo, in the vision statement of Obaseki, they were so good and sweet that the whole world was clapping. It was bringing investment. We've not talked of, another day we'll talk about the Edo Industrial Park. Another day we'll talk about the Edo Inland Port.
The dry port.
The dry port. Another day we'll talk about the International Airport in Auchi. The other day we'll talk about the railway connecting from Okbila to Gelegele Seaport. Another day we'll talk about the seaport. Another day we'll talk about the Ologbo refinery. Are they working today? Because you have a vision, you lack a defined mission. Why you lack the defined mission? Because of your selfish interest. Because of criminal selfish interest. So coming to Oshomo, in 2008, Dr. Uwa, Igiho, yeah, got a license after the attempt, the first phase of unbundling electricity in Nigeria by the federal government, where it was turned to PACN and all that. From NEPA, he got a license of power generation. He's an investment banker, a friend of Obaseki, based in Canada at that time. After the electricity roadmap of 2013, they were indirectly now coming to Nigeria to be across the corridors of powers. The Goodluck Jonathan administration and the Oshomole government in Edo State, of which Obaseki was the head of economic team.
Under Oshomole?
Under Oshomole.
Right.
So being Obaseki's friend, they were all in the corridors of power, but not holding position. Until Obaseki took over, he needed to activate the license. That is where they came up with the issue of the Oshomo power plant in Edo State. He had the license, but you need huge finance to build plant or power generating plant, especially where the goal is to not generate alone, but to also distribute. And then the Buhari administration opened up the system again further, deregulated it that private people can now not only generate but distribute. Then what did Obaseki say to Edo State? He told Edo State that Edo State government was partnering to bring independent electricity power plant to Edo State. That was the idea. Everybody was praising him. He has achieved Oshomo this, Oshomo that. And he was jockeying around the whole globe looking for investors to partner with Oshomo to provide the finance and the technical support. Now, going to China with Edo State money, signing guarantees and MOUs. To us, he was signing on behalf of Edo State. We never knew he was signing on behalf of his friend, Dr. Waigeo. And that was how they met the Chinese company CTC of China. In 2017, between 2017 and 2018, they consummated a JV and a partnership deal. JV, joint ventures and partnership deal, of which fully Obaseki was there as the governor, plus the then commissioner, the SA to the governor of strategic media, Kruswe Osagie,
right,
was there to consummate that deal. And they were telling Edo State, everybody was clapping for them. Even most of the media narrative was that Edo State was building a power plant called Oshomo. We never knew that with all the money he has spent in traveling to look for the investment, the land he provided for the project was not accounted for in Edo State, does not have any stake in value, Naira and Kobo to Edo State. Till as we speak. But that is not the issue. The issue is ownership. They had a joint venture with the Chinese company, and the Chinese company, in the agreement, owed 75%. While Osyomo, bringing land and license, had 45%. Under the Company and Alien Matter Decree of 1990 as amended Act of 1999, when you hold 45% stake in a company, automatically that company become yours. It's wholly owned. Do you understand?
Right.
But this time around, a Chinese company is not just holding 45%, but 75%. They brought every plant and machinery and finance. And they started. What are the Edo State government came into the whole plan? During the agreement, Edo State government said to encourage, they had what is called PPA, Power Purchase Agreement,
right,
with the consortium of Osyomo and CC ECTC. They signed that we are going to be your first buyer, 5 megawatts of electricity to power every government house or government institution in Edo State.
But we have to wrap this up in a minute.
Street lights. So to cut the long story short,
right,
CCECTC own Osyomo PP1. IPP1, Integrated Power Plant 1, is owned by CCETC.
A Chinese firm.
A Chinese firm. Which, after they've accused Igihon Uwa and Osyomo of non-transparency, they've not read that account for 5 years. And they've wheeled out more than 4 kilowatts of electricity. But they could only provide records of 1.8 million kilowatts of electricity. So they, in September 1st, they turn off the plants and take it over by themselves.
This last September 1st.
Exactly. Meanwhile, Edo State government opted out of the arrangement when they discover fraudulent activity that they were being overcharged. The Edo State government opted out January, ending of January 2025.
Under Governor Okpebholo.
Under Governor Okpebholo. They first of all renegotiated when we discovered they were charging per kilowatt, they were charging 240 something, 248 naira per kilowatt. They now returned to 199. Of which we now later discovered that none of the ministries, agencies were metered independently. They went to fees, they went to mount like a plant in a government house, in a farmhouse, secretarial building there. A 5 kVA step down.
Right.
They were from there selling to individual Edo EDGs because they also sell electricity to individuals.
And that process was not also transparent.
That is their own. But what they were now doing at the end of the month, they use the KVA reading. Whatever the KVA reads, which include both the consumption of private individual and government, they ship the whole bill to Edo State government.
Okay, I'm afraid because of time, this issue is still on. I think our viewers will be very interested, apparently, in that report, and then more so this Osyomo issue, because it has to do with power, and that's something that touches every Nigerian, whether in Edo State or anywhere around this country. But I'd like to say a big thank you to you.
Thank you very
much, Brahma, for coming as always to honor us with your time and your expertise here. We're taking a break now. In a minute, when we return, my colleague Ramsey and I will wrap up Global Morning for you. Do stay with us. All right, so that's all we have for you here today. Thank you for watching. As always, remember that the views of all of our guests, including here on Global Morning, are their opinions. I'm Uyi Agumofwewe.
I'm Ramsey Agbo. Many thanks for joining us. Continue watching Global Television for the rest of the broadcast for today.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and internationals.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest.
And the president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.